And remember this, that your outer world follows your inner world. Your outer world follows your inner world. What do I mean by that? I mean that when you have peace in your heart, you'll have peace in your life. I mean that when you have confusion in your mind, you'll have turmoil in your life, because your outer world follows your inner world. Your outer world follows your inner world. That's why when God is dealing with you, He doesn't start in your outer world. He starts in your inner world. In your inner world. And that's why, that you prosper even as your soul, the inner world, prospers. You can't prosper in the outer world until you prosper in the inner world. But I do want you to know that it only takes a minute to make a moment. It only takes a minute to make a moment. Only a minute to make a moment. I want to give you some things that, in a real practical way, how you can turn minutes into moments. Listen, you know how to stop time? Kiss. When you kiss, you stop time. You honestly stop time. You know, one of the greatest powers of a husband and wife, if they get a little tension between them, if you just stop her right in the middle of her nagging, just bend her over and just, you will be surprised. Chemical reactions start happening. Confusion sets off in her brain because she wants to be angry, but her hormones are telling her, what is this? But if you want to stop time, kiss. You'd be surprised if it's something that's just going in the wrong direction. Just stop and kiss. I know in that moment you don't want anybody to touch you. You got to force that one. How to travel in time? Read. If you want to travel in time, read. You want to go in history? Read. You want to go in the future? Read. You want to travel in time? Read. How to escape time? Music. They use that as an alternative to drugs. There's some people that escape it through synthetic means. But if you want to escape time, music. How to feel time right. If you want to feel time right, journal. Journal. You're going through something and you need to feel it right. And how to release time, breathe. If you've just been so exasperated by something that has happened in your life, you got to take some deep breath, just it releases time. We don't breathe deeply enough. We are so shallow in our lives, rushing from one thing to another, that we don't release the tension and the stresses of life by just breathing. It is how you release time, when you release everything that is pent up in you, that stresses you, that causes tension. You release it by breathing. And we've got to slow down and stop rushing through life and missing the moments. Slow down, because we're missing the moments, and then we wake up one day reminded of our age by stuff that's happening in our bodies. And then we wonder, where did the time go? But it only takes a minute to seize the moment. It only takes a minute to seize the moment. So don't miss the moments while you're counting the minutes. Don't miss the moments while counting the minutes. You know, in Mark chapter 10, there was a huge crowd that was following Jesus as he left Jericho. And there was a blind beggar by the name of Bartimaeus that was sitting beside the road, and he realized, this is my opportunity. This is my opportunity, because he had been blind a long, long time. And he came by and they couldn't even hush him up. And he said, "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." They tried to quiet him down, and he, but you can't quiet desperate people down. He's desperate. He's desperate. He's desperate. He was saying, "I'm not going to miss this one. I'm going to take advantage of Jesus coming by my place right now. I'm not going to delay. I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm going to do this right now because he may not come my way again." You got to hop on that while he's there, while he's in the building, while you feel him. You got to say, "Jesus, thou son of David, I need you now." Anybody ever been in a desperate need where you need God now, not next week or next month? He was like, "I don't have the time to push this off in the future to some other time. I need him now. If I ever needed the Lord, I need him now." He was in a fix and had been in a fix all of his life, and now he's crying out, "Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me, have mercy on me." And see, the first key to a fresh start in your life is that whatever you're going to do it now. Do it now. Don't say next year that I'm going to make a fresh start, or next month I'm going to make a fresh start, or tomorrow I'm going to make a fresh start. No. It's now or never. Seize the moment. Seize the moment. Because every day there are opportunities all around you for a fresh start. But you don't take advantage of them. Wonder why? It's one word: procrastination. Procrastination. And let me say this to you: ignored patterns are tomorrow's unplanned destiny. Ignored patterns are tomorrow's unplanned destinies. It's amazing. Don't just ignore patterns. A pattern is trying to tell you something. A pattern is trying to tell you something. Don't just be in the know. Know what it means. Don't just get data, interpret the data. What does this mean? What do we do with this now that I know this? What does this mean? Because ignored patterns are tomorrow's unplanned destiny. In Luke chapter 9, verse 62 of the Message Bible, Jesus said, "No procrastination, no backward looks. You can't put God's kingdom off till tomorrow. Seize the day. Seize the day. Do it now." Let me give you a few methods here of how to turn a minute into a moment. How do you turn minutes into moments so that you don't waste time? How do you turn minutes into moments so that your life, when you get a certain age, you can look back and you can say, "I've had a rich life, a life filled with rich experience." It's not just in longevity. It's in the experiences. That's why you'll find some young people that have the experience of people 50 or 60 years old and they're 26. And they've lived experientially far more than somebody twice their age. Here's the first thing that I would say: that a blessing can turn a minute into a moment. A blessing, a blessing, a blessing. I've told you the story of how when my daddy was 75 years old, he had all 6 of his sons to kneel down before him. And he took a little vial of oil, and he anointed each of us and prayed an Abrahamic style prayer over our lives. That blessing turned a minute into a moment. I never forgot it. It created something for us. I remember all 6 of us kneeling down, and my dad with his gray hair coming and anointing and praying a prophetic Abrahamic style prayer over all 6 of his sons. It turned a minute into a moment. You want to turn minutes into moments? Bless people around you. Bless people around you. A blessing will turn a minute into a moment. It'll turn a minute into a moment. Luke chapter 6, verse 28 in the English Standard Version says, "Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you." Bless those, bless those, bless those, bless those who curse you. You'll be surprised what a power there is. It can turn a minute into a moment. I remember when I was vice president of my junior achievement company, and I had a little problem with the secretary one day, and I had to do some discipline. She didn't enjoy the discipline as much as I did. And she started rolling her neck and her eyes, and then she came against me with compound curse words. Compound, in front of the whole company. And before I reacted into my flesh, I heard the Lord say to me, vengeance belongs to me. And he said this to me. He said, this woman has grown up with nothing but belligerence and profanity. That's all she knows. She's responding to you out of what she knows. And he says she needs to be blessed, and I want you to bless her. Now, if after somebody has used compound, a string of compound expletives on me, she unloaded both barrels. And I turned to her with all of the love in my heart, and I said, God bless you. May he bless you. And you never leave the blessing just general. Never leave the blessing general. Blessing must be directed. I bless you with wisdom. I bless you with health. I bless you with peace. I bless you with good understanding. I bless you with a happy marriage. You have to, a blessing must be directed. May God bless you with favor to be able to be received so that the job is yours. When God blesses, the blessing has divine intent. It is not just God bless you. May he bless you with peace to be able to rest at night when you lay your head upon your pillow. May he bless your food to be able to digest well in your body. May he bless your children to be able to get out of school and stop spending your money. So the blessings of the Lord have to be very specific. And I blessed this young lady. Immediately she was disarmed. Disarmed totally. And every time I've seen this young woman since that time, she has treated me with nothing but the utmost of respect, because I refused to stoop to her level in retaliation. But I blessed those who cursed me. And it created a moment for me that I never forgot. I never forgot it. It created a moment because I blessed. It only takes a minute to bless somebody rather than curse them. It only takes a minute. It only takes a minute. And when you do that, you transform that minute into a moment. And when we bless, a blessing is returned to us in many, many ways. We reap what we sow. And that's one of the reasons that Peter gave this exhortation to his readers in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 9 in the English Standard Version. He says, do not repay evil for evil or reviling for reviling, but on the contrary, bless. For to do this you were called, that you may obtain a blessing. Notice, you're not just doing it even for their sake. You do this so that as you do this, that you might obtain a blessing. When you bless, you get blessed because you reap what you... And when you send out a curse, guess where it's coming back? And so let's break ugly, destructive cycles of the flesh and follow in the footsteps of our glorious Lord, who forgave those who crucified him. Because it is the path to blessing, not just for us, but also for those that oppose us. So what do you want to inherit, blessings or cursing? And then that's what you should speak to others. Here's the second thing. Prayer can turn a minute into a moment. Prayer can turn a minute into a moment when you stop and pray. People can change your life. A prayer can become a defining moment. Just a defining moment in your life. Stop praying for somebody. If you just stop and pray for somebody, you can turn a minute into a moment. You can turn a minute into a moment. Just to stop and to pray. Just to stop and to pray. I was in the grocery store one day, and I looked at the cashier who was serving me, this white lady, and I read in the spirit what was going on in her life. I knew she was at the register. I grabbed her hand and I began to pray for her. Tears burst out of her eyes like a waterfall. I'm like, oh, she's at work. She's still on the clock. But you know, I created a moment there because I read that there was a need here. And I was moved with compassion. And I did a 30-second prayer. And the power of God fell. And it turned a minute into a moment. Prayer can do that. Notice what it says, James chapter 5, verse 17 and 18. Elijah was a human being, even as we are. He prayed earnestly that it would not rain, and it didn't rain on the land for 3.5 years. And again he prayed, and the heavens gave rain, and the earth produced its crop. Isn't that amazing that in just a few moments of prayer, heavens can open and rain can fall? In a few moments, somebody can be going through a drought, and then in another situation, it's just pouring on another person's life, and they're under this cloud, and in just a few moments of prayer, it can stop the rain. For somebody who's being flooded out, it'll stop it for them, and somebody who's in a drought, it'll cause the blessings of God to be released in their life, just by somebody taking the time to pray. I mean, it can bless you when somebody prayed for me. Somebody's prayed. Just a prayer can change your life and become a defining moment and turn a minute into a moment just through prayer. Here's number 3. Encouragement can turn a minute into a moment. Encouragement, just to encourage somebody. Notice what Isaiah chapter 41, verse 6 and 7 in the NIV says. It says, they help each other and say to their companions, be strong. The metal worker encourages the goldsmith, and the one who smooths with the hammer spurs on the one who strikes the anvil. And one says of welding, it is good, and another nails down the idol so that it will not topple. Notice how they encourage one another. They encourage one another. Stopping even to acknowledge that a person is doing a good job can change the ordinary into the extraordinary. You can create a moment, and something freezes because our world is so unappreciative. They rarely stop to encourage other people to celebrate when good thing, and then they're always attacking you when something goes wrong, and never encouraging you when you're on the right track and doing the good thing because it's expected of you. Here's the 4th thing. Expressing thanks can turn a minute into a moment. Expressing thanks. 1 Thessalonians 5:18, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. In everything give thanks. Because people in our world take so much for granted that stopping to express gratitude to someone can literally turn a minute into a moment for them. Because you can be working all day on your feet and serving people, and nobody has stopped to thank you because you're being paid for it. Nobody has stopped. Folks rarely will ever stop. We've got folks that volunteer here. Folks are not paid here to usher and to work out in the parking lot. When was the last time you ever just roll your window down and say, thank you, thank you, thank you? You'd be surprised. Just to thank people that are serving encourages their hearts. It turns a minute into a moment. Just to say thank you, that we express our thanksgiving. It doesn't take much. If you go to a restaurant and they serve you with excellence, commend them. Don't just think it and say, oh, she was really good. He was really great. Tell them. If you think it, express it. Express it to them. Express it. They need to hear it. Can turn it into a moment, because you can serve people and serve people and serve people, and nobody says anything until you do something wrong, until it doesn't measure up, and then they load it. They unload on you. And so just stopping to express thanks can turn a minute into a moment. Just expressing thanks. Number 5, giving someone something they don't deserve can turn a minute into a moment. Giving somebody something that they don't deserve can turn a minute into a moment. I want you to notice how the Apostle Paul felt. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 9 in NIV. Paul says, for I am the least of the apostles and do not even deserve to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of God. You see, God gave him something. He gave him a grace in his life, and he knew that he didn't deserve it because he had been guilty of persecuting the church of God. Notice what he said in the New Living Translation of Ephesians chapter 3, verse 8. He says, though I am the least deserving of all God's people, he graciously gave me the privilege of telling the Gentiles about the endless treasures available to them in Christ. He says, I'm the least of anybody. And God so graciously, no wonder Paul said, I glory in tribulation, because he realized that God gave him something that he didn't deserve. Can turn a minute into a moment. Here's number 6, forgiving somebody can turn a minute into a moment. Forgiving someone can turn a minute into a moment. I want you to notice what Jesus said about the woman that anointed him with the expensive perfume. In Luke chapter 7, verse 47 in the New Living Translation, I tell you, her sins, and they are many, have been forgiven. So she has shown me much love. But a person who is forgiven little shows only little love. Notice that. Her sins were many, and they were forgiven, and she showed much love. But a person who's forgiven little shows only little love. You can turn a few bad minutes into a great moment by sometimes just learning how to accept the apology that you never received. You got to go ahead and accept it. Accept the apology that you never received. You do this not because of who they are, you do it because of who you are. You do it because you need the release. There are some people that hurt you, that offended you, and they're dead now. You have to accept the apology that they never gave you. Not for their sake, but so you can move on. You have to just say, you know what, I forgive you. Even though you didn't apologize, I release you. I release you so I don't have to stay tied to this place. I release you. I forgive you. So forgiving someone can turn a minute into a moment. The moment that you forgive people, you can be set free. It's not even for their sake, it's really for yours. And here's number 7. Expressing love can turn a minute into a moment. Mother Teresa said that one of the greatest diseases is to be nobody to anybody. Is to be nobody to anybody. I want you to notice what Genesis chapter 29 verse 31 in the New Living Translation says. It says, when the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he enabled her to have children, but Rachel could not conceive. You see, God expressed love to her by opening her womb. When he saw that she was unloved, he made her fruitful. He made her productive. He saw she was unloved. He saw she was unloved, and his making her productive, his blessing her, demonstrated his love to her, and it turned a minute into a moment. She'd been moping all of her life because Rachel had gotten all of the attention. She was beautiful but barren. And Leah felt unloved, and God was so concerned about this young woman who felt unloved that he said, I'm going to open her spirit. I'm going to give her an idea that's going to make her rich. I'm going to let her birth something that's going to bless the world. And it's amazing. It's amazing what came out of this woman, Leah. It was Leah who was the ancestor of the one that became the tribe of Judah. It's amazing. He saw she was unloved, and God opened that up. Elizabeth Barrett Browning said that love doesn't make the world go round. Love is what makes the ride worthwhile. Expressing love can turn a minute into a moment. If you have nobody to love, your world is in black and white. You're in mono instead of stereo. It's being able to allow God to allow the minutes of life to be transformed into moments that are unique. And I encourage you, don't just spend the moments, spend the time, the minutes, transform them. Erect a monument, a place of memorial, so that it reminds you of where you were and what God did. And you say that this is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our sight. I pray that you got something out of the word of the Lord today. We bless God for his goodness toward us. May you create moments this week and allow God's love to just shine through you in a wonderful, wonderful way. May you be a blessing every place that God places you, and allow God to just transform your life into that will make a difference in the lives of others. What a great, great joy it is to be able to serve such an incredible, incredible Savior. I want you to look for moments. Look for moments. You have to look for moments as the window of opportunity comes, look for moments. Look for moments. Look for moments of somebody who's downtrodden and discouraged. How you can come and just pray with them, and it can be a turning point for them. You can turn bad minutes into a divine moment. You'd be surprised. You just go back through your notes and say, God, show me how to put this into practice. Give me a strategy, because I want to create moments. I want to create moments in my life. With a kid whose life is off track, somebody who's messed up. And let me just remind you that when a person least deserves love, that's when they need it most. That's when they need it most. When they least deserve it, that's when they need it most. Sometimes you're showing that love at a time like that can turn a minute into a moment. And to really say to them, you know what, somebody cares. Even though I messed up, even though I haven't made all of the right decisions, I'm loved. I'm loved unconditionally. Everybody needs somebody in this world who won't give up on them. Everybody needs somebody who won't give up on them. And I know he won't give up. And I pray that God will open your eyes to allow you to see the grace that is on you to encourage somebody, to help them to keep believing even when they've messed up over and over and over again, that God will give you a tenacity of faith, that he will make you a prisoner of hope and see good things in them and keep speaking life and speaking life and speaking life and blessing, and turn bad minutes into glorious moments.
Thank you for watching Power for Living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner. Join us again next time for Power for Living, where revelation is power. Power for living.